Dog! Dog, are you in the cabinet? You don't know? Come here. Come here. Come on. Come here. What do you have? Cookies? You can't eat cookies, especially not chocolate cookies. I know. Well, if you're hungry, you can talk to me, but you can't have chocolate cookies. Those are no good for dogs. Oh, I know. Well, how about we make you some cookies? Yeah. Do you know what day it is? It's Thursday. You know what we do on Thursdays? We make a 3-ingredient recipe. Okay, so I have a great 3-ingredient recipe where we can make not only dog cookies, but we can also make people cookies. What do you think about that? Oh, right. Okay, cool. So, he's very excited, so let's get to the ingredients. These cookies that we're going to make, both dog biscuits and cookies for people, are vegan, delicious, and very good for you. The first ingredient for these cookies and biscuits is oats. Yep. Now these are called rolled oats, or sometimes they're called, no, you don't have to roll over, but good boy. They're sometimes called rolled oats or old-fashioned oats. So you don't want steel cut oats, and you don't want quick oats. You want them to be just the old-fashioned or rolled oats. And we'll get to measurements when we show the recipe coming together. Our next ingredient is peanut butter. I know you love peanut butter, but we're gonna put this into your biscuits, okay? All right. So when you are making any sort of treat for an animal, you want to make sure that the ingredients are safe for them, right? Yeah. So for peanut butter, some peanut butters have additives and preservatives that may not be good for dogs. We are using 100% natural peanut butter. That means that it just contains peanuts, and I think this contains a little bit of salt. So if you don't have natural peanut butter, make sure that you anything that's in your peanut butter is safe for dogs. And again, the measurements for these are going to be within the recipe as we make them. So we have oats, and we have peanut butter. What's our third ingredient? Bananas! That's right. You wouldn't think that there'd be bananas in dog treats, but actually dogs really do love bananas, don't they? Yeah, a banana is actually a very good treat for a dog. It doesn't contain any fat. It's not going to make them too fat. It has a little bit of sweetness to it, so they really like it, but it doesn't have any processed sugar. And we are going to use a couple bananas in each one of these recipes. We're going to start with the cookies for the people in the house as opposed to the dog biscuits. This is the easiest recipe to start with, so we will get these out of the way, and then we can work with the more involved dough that it takes for the dog biscuits. So first we're going to take our 2 medium-sized bananas. We're just going to peel them. Now these are a little bit not ripe enough for this recipe. You might want to make sure that you have bananas that are a little bit more ripe. As you see, there's just a little bit of brown showing up on the skin here. You may want to get a very brown banana, or just keep a banana in your kitchen until it's a little bit more ripe. I couldn't find any very ripe bananas for this, and Dog definitely wants his treats. They will be okay, they just take a little bit more mashing. So now that you've got these in the bowl, we're just going to take a potato masher. You can use a fork as well. I find that the potato masher gives you a lot of area to smash up the bananas with. And we're just going to smash these up as much as we can. Now that you have your bananas all mashed up, you can see they're all very liquid. You don't want to turn it into a total liquid here. You don't really want to blend them. You wouldn't throw them into the food processor or anything. We're now going to add our peanut butter. This can be a little bit difficult to get out of the measuring cup. I tend to use a spatula. Once you have the bananas and the peanut butter nicely combined, then I'm just going to add my 1 1/4 cup of rolled oats. They're also called old-fashioned oats. And now this sticky mess is going to come together into a bit of a dough. It looks a bit more like a granola bar than it does a dough. This is a cookie in the very lightest sense of the word, let's say. Okay, now that this is all combined, it's starting to look like an actual dough. It looks a little bit more like a granola bar than it does an oatmeal cookie. Remember, an oatmeal cookie will have flour and will have eggs and other binding agents. This is definitely something that is more of a breakfast treat than a dessert. It's not quite as sweet as a regular oatmeal cookie, but it's 100% vegan, it's all natural, and it's going to be really good for you. So now we're going to just roll these into small balls and put them on our baking sheet. I've lined a baking sheet with non-stick foil. You can also use a Silpat or a parchment paper if you want to. And now I'm just going to take small spoonfuls, like a teaspoonful. You can also use, if you have an ice cream scoop, you can use that as well. And we're just going to drop these right onto our baking sheet. Now that I have these on the baking sheet, I'm going to just pat them down a little bit so that they're a little bit flatter. And then I'm going to put them into a 350-degree oven for about 12 to 15 minutes. Just want to see them brown around the edges and to firm up a little bit. These are going to be very soft cookies, so we don't want to keep them in the oven for too long. We just basically want them to dry out a bit. For our dog biscuits, we're going to start off in the food processor. We're going to take our 2 cups of rolled or old-fashioned oats. And we are going to turn this into oat flour. The way we're going to do this is by food processing this until it turns into a powder, which is basically how you make flour out of oats. Okay, as you can see, the texture of this oat flour we made, it's not a perfect flour. We're not looking for a nice, soft, siftable flour. What we want is something with a little bit of texture to it. That's going to make this have a little bit more bite to it. If I wanted to use just pure oat flour, I would have bought that. So that's why we started with the rolled oats. All right, so just like the other recipe, we are going to start with 1 banana instead of 2. Again, this banana is not quite as ripe as I would like for this recipe, but it's the bananas we had. Please excuse the dirty potato masher. I used it for the other recipe, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to just mash up these bananas. Okay, and now that this banana is all mashed up, I'm going to take my dirty spatula that I used for the other cookies, and I'm going to add in 1/3 of a cup of peanut butter. Make sure that if you are using any sort of peanut butter that is not all natural for your people cookies, that you use the natural peanut butter that's made just with peanuts for your dogs. You don't want any sort of additives that could disagree with your dog or could be harmful to your dog. So you just want to use peanut butter, all natural, made with just peanuts. And again, we are going to combine these two until they are fully mixed together. And in fact, with this recipe, you want it a little bit more thoroughly mixed together than with the other ones. The other ones are more of an assembly of ingredients, whereas this one, we're really making a dough. All right, now that these 2 ingredients are thoroughly combined, I am now going to add in my oat flour. And again, we are going to make cookies out of this as opposed to more of a bar or a breakfast bar. So you're going to want to mix this very thoroughly until it comes together like a dough. Because this is so coarsely ground, it's not going to come together like, say, a chocolate chip cookie dough, but you do want it to be a dough that you can roll out and cut shapes out of, because we want these to look like dog cookies. I'm now getting my hands in here because we are working with the dough here. And we definitely want this all to be as combined as possible. All right, now let's clean up our hands and make some cookies. Okay, so our next step is going to be rolling out these cookies. I have a little bit of the remaining flour that I made, and I'm just going to use that as my flour to roll things out. And I'm going to turn out the flour that we made. It's a little dry and crumbly. That's fine. It will hold together. You may want to work it just a little bit more. So we're just going to work it, push it together a bit more. As you can see now, we have a nice ball of dough that we can work with. So we're just going to give ourselves a little bit of room here. And then with a rolling pin, we're just going to roll this out. And again, this is a very crumbly dough, so you may have to hold this together as you go. Just be patient with it. It's not going to be like a cookie dough or sugar cookie dough where you're able to roll it out with a lot of pressure. This is held together with just bananas and with peanut butter. So you're not going to have a very solid dough that you can work with. You want to make sure that you can pick it up. So what we're looking for is a very thin layer here. We're not looking for thick cookies. We want these to dry out nicely in the oven. Again, we're not baking so much as we're drying out this mixture, and the dogs will love it. To make the little dog bone shape, I just took a template. I just got some clip art of a dog's bone and I printed it up on my computer, and now I'm just going to trace that out with a paring knife. You could use cookie cutters for this. It may work a little bit better. I didn't have cookie cutters and I didn't necessarily want to use cookie cutters to make these cookies. Okay, that's not a perfect dog bone, but I think it looks pretty good. We are going to do the same thing that we did with the other cookies. We're going to put them on a lined cookie sheet. This time it's going to go into a 300-degree oven for about 20 to 25 minutes. These ones we don't want to stay soft. We want these to be nice and hard and crunchy, something for the dog to bite into. These are now all out of the oven. I have my soft, chewy, more like a soft granola bar, banana and peanut oatmeal cookies. These are not very sweet. If you wanted to make these sweeter, you could add a little bit of honey to the mixture. You could also, if you wanted to keep it vegan, add some vegan chocolate chips or other sweeteners. You could even just add a little bit of sugar to these. These would be nicely sweet, but they're really good on their own. They're good for a breakfast treat. They're good for energy. They're definitely packed with energy. And on this side, we have a crispy dog bone. I think I did okay with the shape. If you have a cookie cutter, they are going to work a lot better. As you can see on the back, it's nice and brown. On the top, it stays a bit lighter, but these are nice and crispy. This is something that dog is definitely going to want to sink his teeth into. So I think we've got snacks for everybody. Snacks for the people, snacks for the dog. Let's see how the dog likes them. Oh, I guess you may need to sweep the floor after this, dog. So the dog biscuits came out really nice. I think they came out. They look like a bit of a bone, don't they? No. We're just showing the people. I will give you another one later. Oh, that's good. But we will no whining. Nope, we will give you another one after we talk to the people. Okay, so these dog biscuits came out pretty well. They are very easy to make and they are crispy. The cookies that we made for the people in the household, those are chewy and just a little bit sweet. With the cookies for people, you can add in things like chocolate chips, or you could add in honey or a little bit of sugar. For dogs, you want to keep them to just the 3 ingredients for them so that you... That's right. So this is a great treat that you can make for the pets in your household. Well, dog, I'm so happy that you joined me for this 3-ingredient recipe. Yeah, you're normally on George's show. Yeah, and George is here to talk about good self-esteem on weekends. Do you know what else we do here on this channel? We talk about long hair. Yeah. Yes, you have very, very pretty hair yourself. Yes. So we talk about long hair on Tuesdays, and on Thursdays we do 3-ingredient recipes. Do you know what people can do if they like this show? They can subscribe. They can leave a little comment down below and say hi to dog. Yep. Perfect. You can also give it a like if you like the content, and definitely share it with your friends. You have lots of friends, don't you? Yeah. So thanks so much for joining us. We will be back again next week with another 3-ingredient recipe, and maybe you'll see Dog this weekend with George and his messages about self-esteem. You want to say goodbye? Bye-bye. Oh, got some dandruff going on there. Thank you.